let me tell you what I'm seeing right now. There is a full court press to do two things that reinforce each other. One is to push the narrative that Trump's reelection is, a real possibility, which is true. But it's being tied in to this notion of Medicare for all is somehow going to sink the Democrats. And that is a sort of a bank shot way of saying you got to vote for Biden, or you got to vote for Buttigieg, or from Mike Bloomberg's perspective, when he does his third party race, if it's a run, if it's against a Warren or a Bernie Sanders, it's justified to save America. That's what's going on right now. Do not buy into it. The idea that people would be voting against Medicare for all, forget about it. Make Donald Trump argue on policy and Democrats will win. I don't care what the policy is. I mean, make policy the issue that Republicans think they're going to win on, and Democrats will win. Every moment Donald Trump has to make a critique of policy is a win for Democrats. I don't care what the policy is. I mean, you could come out and say, we propose, and Jamie will enjoy this, we propose expropriation of every private dwelling over the size of 6 apartments in the country as a Democratic plank, and making Donald Trump argue against that will hurt Donald Trump. He does not want to argue policy. Now, I know there'll be a ton of outside expenditures, and they'll all be talking about, Bernie Sanders wants to get rid of private insurance. Elizabeth Warren wants to get rid of private insurance. I'm telling you, this race is going to be about Donald Trump. It's got to come out of Donald Trump's mouths to make a difference. And we're seeing, here's the one that's really ridiculous. Bring up the calculator. I'm sorry, folks. They voted Democratic. Now they support Trump. Okay, so just the headline itself, like, oh, geez, there's a net loss from 2016. They're going to vote for Trump, and they had never voted for Trump before, except for, no, that's not what it is. Midterm victories in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin gave Democrats hope of retaking the Rust Belt battleground states that handed the presidency to Donald J. Trump in 2016. Yet, the midterms might not mean as much for Democratic presidential candidates as the party might think. I don't know what the party thinks. You ready for this? Nearly 2/3 of voters in 6 battleground states who voted for Trump in 2016, but for Democratic congressional candidates in 2018, say they intend to vote for Trump again. In other words, there's an easier way of saying this. It appears like Trump has lost 1/3 of the people who voted for Democratic congressional candidates in 2018. Now, look, we all know, because we've talked about it ad nauseum on this program, the reason why Democrats won in 2018 was not because of these people who voted for Trump and then voted for Democrats. It was because more people came out at a record level to vote for Democrats. More people came out to vote on a record level for Republicans on an off-year election. It's just that even more came out for the Democrats. So these people were not key to the Democrats' victory in 2018. But even if they were, you're still saying that Trump has lost. This is a way of saying, here is people saying they voted for Trump in 2016. They're not going to vote for him in 2020.
Stuck.
A third of those people. Now, those people, the group is only a sliver of the electorate, 2% of registered voters. It's not representative of all voters. Indeed. One would think if you vote for a Democrat in 2018, you're more inclined to vote for the presidential candidate. But again, this is all about mobilization. This is an argument that persuasion is irrelevant. Okay? But let's take that number. It's 1/3 of 2% of registered voters. Okay, now I don't have the figures as to who that represents in 2018 because it's a different electorate pool, but we can tell you this, that in Pennsylvania, 2,970,733 voted for Trump in 2016.
Oh God, are we doing math right now?
Well, we have a calculator. 2,970,333. We need to know what 0.066 of those people will do in 2018, right? 2%, this is all back of the envelope stuff, but this is 2% of registered voters, and 2/3 of them are going to vote for Trump again. So it's 1/3 are not going to vote for Trump. So 1/3 of 2%, 0.066. So multiply that times 0.066. Nope, you got to do multiplication. You got to go back one. No, just go. Yeah, okay.
It's not our strong suit.
No, this is not. Times 0.066 equals 196,000 people. Hillary Clinton lost by 44,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Now, my point isn't to say that the Democratic candidate is going to win Pennsylvania by 150,000 votes. My point is to say is that, like, this is a very weird framing for this piece of data. If you wanted to make the argument that there's a lot of voters that indicate, get the sense that they want divided government, that's one thing. But the idea that this is framed as like, there's a very tenuous margin here. Well, of course, everyone knows that. But there is a concerted effort that's going on in the media now to create this fear of loss and couple it, because this is not happening in a vacuum. It is happening at a time where there has been a concerted effort to attack Elizabeth Warren, mostly because I think a lot of these people don't believe that Bernie Sanders has a chance, even though all the polls say that. They're just not capable of wrapping their heads around it. That's just the reality.
Doesn't look like anything to them.
What's that?
It doesn't look like anything to them.
It doesn't look like anything to them. They're genuinely worried about Warren because I think they see her as a compromise candidate, but still landing far too left for them.
They don't want to compromise.
And they don't want her pushing Medicare for all. They do not want Medicare for all to be the position, even if it comes in a form that some on the left find to be, two stages, insufficient, 2 stages of legislation, whatever the plan is not, or that her commitment to it isn't there. The bottom line is the narrative would be that she ran on this and won with it, and how it gets implemented, who knows? But the point being, they don't want that to happen. And so you're seeing millions upon millions of dollars spent to push this message that Medicare for all will kill the Democrats' chance in 2020, that even people who are inclined to go Democratic, it's not such a shoo-in. This is what's going on now, folks, and you should be aware of it as we head home and you try and tell your concerned parents and friends and brothers and sisters.
Yeah, it's so dumb because Medicare for all is not unpopular at all. I mean, it varies from poll to poll, but this one from American Barometer says that 70% of Americans support Medicare for all.
A lot of it is a function of how it's asked. A lot of it is a function of the Democratic primary. You've seen Democrats attacking it, and the media is attacking it. If it was the position of the Democratic nominee, these people would have to be quiet. Pete Buttigieg couldn't be out there saying that this is a problem.
Even Trump made it sound like he was going to give everyone health care when he was like, oh, it's going to be better health care. It's going to be much, much cheaper.
I understand. But the reality is that they are winning the messaging war. And part of it, frankly, is the attacks on Elizabeth Warren's plan, because it's a 2-stage plan and requires 2 pieces of legislation, is also creating this sense. And part of it is also a function of like her feeling like she needed, and by her, I mean her campaign, feeling like she needed to show the financing and to actually roll out with a specific plan, I think showed some measure of a lack of confidence in the politics of Medicare for All. And people jump on that. And frankly, when the attacks on Warren about the 2-stage plan, regardless of, I think it warrants some critique, but the broader critique that is levied on her is hurting Medicare for All. There's no doubt about it. It is because the average American who will show up in a poll now where it says only 36% support it, as opposed to 52% or something to that effect, they just hear that there's controversy about something. There's nobody, like your average American is not looking at, they just hear that there's controversy about it. And that scares them. Because the last thing you want is controversy as to whether you're going to get health care or not.
Do you really think controversy from the left is making it through into the mainstream discourse, though?
I think controversy does, yes. I don't think that there are people out there going like, well, I don't know, I'm a little shaky on Medicare for All now because I'm hearing about Elizabeth Warren having a 2-stage plan and this and that. No,
yeah, they're not reading Megan Day's critiques in Jacobin.
Absolutely not. But that's what I'm saying. All they're getting is that there's controversy about it. Period. Controversy. Not from the left, not from the right, controversy. And the more controversy there is about something that is so closely held as a value, healthcare, the more worried people get. And then they run from it. That's basically it. That's the bottom line. Particularly at this stage in the election, people just get broad emotional signals. And so, no, they don't know the specifics of the controversy. They don't know if it's coming from the right or the left. I don't even know that they would know that there is a debate about it. 2 different ideological polls. But I do know that is getting through. You can talk to, it makes people worry about it, and they don't even need to know the specifics as to why. And so
people just need to uncuck themselves and vote for what they want.
Well,
now I'm blaming the electorate.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people they don't have the time to figure out. They don't know. They don't have like the assets to make that determination. I mean, like I don't know what chemicals do I want banned? I have no idea. The bad ones.
You want health care, though.
I do want
health care.
Right, but it is not obvious to the overwhelmingly large part of the United States, like what's the best health care policy?
Well, that's one thing that's good about Medicare for All is that it's actually really simple to understand and relatively simple to implement.
I don't think you're right. I think that if you sat down with somebody, you could explain it to them. But I think from an American's, average person's perspective, like they understand, like, yes, could I get free health care? I like that. But then wait a second, I'm going to lose my health care? Wait a second. How am I going to get free health care? Oh, you're going to lose your health care. Oh, maybe this sounds too good to be true. That's the way that goes. And then those people who want a Democrat to win go like, this seems like, we're having this argument about healthcare. How about we don't have an argument about healthcare and we just win? That's the way the mentality goes. And we don't necessarily like it or whatnot, but I think like to ignore that reality, I think we do so at our own peril.